In this video, we'll be going over multiplying and dividing negative exponents. So before we get started, let's go over a definition of exponents. So when I have a positive exponent, I know that that represents repeated multiplication. So 2 to the third power tells me that I have 3 of these terms being multiplied together. And what's going to be multiplied are these bases. So I have 3 of these 2's all being multiplied together. Now when I have a negative exponent, I know that negative means opposite, and the opposite of multiplying is going to be dividing. So I have repeated division. So taking 1, I'm going to repeatedly divide by 2. And I have to divide for a total of 3 times. So 1 divided by 2, divided by 2, divided by 2. Notice how when I draw these 2's underneath the fraction, that means I'm going to divide with each of these 2's. I can also simplify this expression. So again, 3 of those 2's being multiplied together is the same thing as having 2 to the third power. Notice what happens when I have a negative exponent. I'm taking this expression here and I'm flipping it to the opposite side. And after I flipped it, I'm changing the exponent to positive. And this flipping is what's going to help us solve the next problems. So let's go over our first example. Here I want to simplify the expression. When I simplify an expression, I want to write it so that we have a single base and a single exponent. So looking at one term at a time, here I have 2 to the 5th power. Out of that, that's going to mean I have 2, 3, 4, 5 of these 2's being multiplied together. Okay. Now let's take a look at the next term. Here I have 2 to the negative 3rd power. This is a negative exponent. Instead of multiplying with these, I'm going to divide with them by drawing them underneath the fraction bar. Again, I'm taking these 3 2's and putting them in the opposite position. I'm putting them down here, right? Now that we have a fraction with the same numbers on top and the bottom, we can start canceling out. So again, 2 and 2, those are going to cancel, cancel and cancel. And what do we have left over? What should our exponent be that's going to represent all of these multiplications? Since we have 2 left over, it's going to be 2 to the 2nd power. Let's go over our next example. Here I have 3 to the 2nd times 3 to the negative 4th. So starting with 3 to the 2nd, this tells me I have 2 of these 3's all being multiplied together. When I have 3 to the negative 4, this tells me I'm dividing by all of these 3's. So divide by 3 for a total of 4 times. And again, what's happening is I'm taking these 3's and moving them to the opposite spot. They're moving to the bottom. So now let's start canceling. Cancel, cancel. And so what do we have left over? I have a base 3. And since there are 2 of these being multiplied, it would be 3 to the 2nd power. Now we need to be careful because notice where these 3's are located. Are they located on top of the fraction or beneath the fraction? Since they're located in the denominator, these 3 to the 2nd has to be located underneath the fraction as well. Or another way of writing this, since we're dividing by 2 3's, this is 3 to the negative 2nd power. All right, let's go over our third example. Here we're going to look at a problem where we're going to divide by a negative exponent. So here, looking on top, we have 5 to the 4th power, so 4 of these 5's. But what happens when I try to divide with a negative exponent? These are already located underneath the fraction. Like we said before, we're going to take these and flip them to the opposite spot. So since these are already on the bottom, we're going to take those 5's and place them up top here. Okay. So after moving them, we can start simplifying. I know that my base is 5. And what exponent can I use to represent all of this multiplication? Since I have 4 of them here, 2 here, in total this is going to be 5 to the 6th power. And then finally, for the last problem, I have 9 to the 4th times 9 to the negative 3rd divided by 9 to the negative 2nd. So let's tackle this one term at a time. 9 to the 4th, I know that's going to be 4 of these 9's. Right? Now let's talk about 9 to the negative 3rd. Since these are located on top, I'm going to flip its position and move those 3 9's to the bottom. And then finally 9 to the negative 2nd. Since these are already located on the bottom, I'm going to flip them to the top. So these are going to go up here. All right, now that I have everything rearranged, I can start canceling and simplifying. So those are going to cancel. And what's left over is I have base 9. And what should my exponent be? Since there are 3 of them being multiplied, this is going to be 9 to the third. So in conclusion, when we're multiplying and dividing with negative exponents, you should think of it as flipping the exponents to the opposite spot. So if the negative exponent is on top, you're going to move it to the bottom. And if it's already on the bottom, you're going to move it back to the top. And after moving it, the exponent is going to change to positive.